Many episodes ago, I said that one of the best ways to improve your skills in your target language was to have regular conversations in it. Now, I stand by what I said, but as soon as you get into it, you'll quickly find out that this is not as easy as it sounds. Why? Well, what if there aren't very many native speakers of your target language in your area? What if the native speakers in your target language all live in a country that's very far away in a different time zone? It means that you have to schedule phone calls or video chats online at a time of day that is convenient to neither of you. And beyond that, what if your conversation partner doesn't speak your native language very well? It makes it difficult for both of you when they have to explain something that you don't understand. Or what if your conversation partner is just not a very good teacher in general? They can correct you when you make mistakes, but they can't tell you why it's a mistake. Why do I have to say it this way and not that way? If you keep pressing them on that question, eventually you're going to get an answer something along the lines of, well, that's just how we say it. You just have to accept that. They can't explain why it is. They can't explain the history of it because maybe they themselves don't know. No one's ever asked them such a stupid question in their target language, in their native language rather, in their entire life, and maybe they've just genuinely never thought about it. Wouldn't it be nice if you had access to a conversational practice partner / private tutor who was available 24 hours a day and who spoke your target language and your native language fluently, and who is calm and patient enough to answer every single one of your questions, no matter how nuanced or detailed your question might be? Well, the future is now, because AI chatbots are already a thing in the field of language learning. So in this episode, there's two questions I want to try to tackle. Number one, in the short to medium term, what are the implications of AI on language learning? And then number two, a larger question, in the long term, will AI make language learning itself obsolete? If you want to skip to that question, go to this time code on the screen right now. Otherwise, let's get into it. Now, I would love to have a more general conversation about how AI is likely to affect society as a whole. I have some very strong opinions about that, but I think a lot of them go outside of the scope of this little YouTube channel. So, for the purpose of this conversation, we're going to restrict it just to the effects that, that AI will have on language learning. Now, in the short to medium term, I think those effects are quite positive. It's very much like having your own private tutor who's constantly available and who is knowledgeable enough to answer every single question you have. Now, the technology is still relatively early days, but even the current crop of AI chatbots is quite impressive. You can have a conversation with them either in your native language or in your target language or both, and it can answer questions for you. Now you might wonder, okay, what's the advantage of using a chatbot if I can just Google the answers to my questions? There are other resources online where I can go and search and try to find the etymology of a specific word or the origin of a specific expression, or if I want to know the rules of syntax or grammar, I can look them up. I don't need a chatbot to explain them to me. Okay. If you view a chatbot as just a fancy front end for an existing search engine or language learning resource online, then yeah, it does seem kind of superfluous. But it's more than that. An AI chatbot, as the name implies, it can chat with you. You can message back and forth with this thing in either your native language or your target language, and you can use that as conversational practice. It can correct you when you make mistakes, and you can ask it for more details about why it corrected you in a certain way, and it can answer those questions. It's more than just aggregating information from other language learning sources online. It's actually engaging in conversation with something that can answer you. Now, the current crop of AI chatbot technology, it still has a long way to go. It's still fairly early days in terms of this technology. It's not perfect. One thing I've noticed is that the chatbots will occasionally give you the wrong answer. And not just a wrong answer, but a blatantly wrong answer. And the problem with this is that the chatbot will never, at least I've never seen it say something like, I'm not sure, but, or I haven't confirmed this, but. It will always present every answer it gives you with full confidence and eloquence. It will seem as though it's coming from an authoritative source, even if the answer is wrong. And unless you know that answer is wrong, it would be very easy to be taken in by this and to think that you just learned something when in fact you were just given misinformation. This will improve as the technology continues to develop, of course, but for the current crop of chatbots, it's something to watch out for, is that every now and then it just goes off its rocker and says something completely false. Another drawback of the current crop of AI chatbots is that although it's impressive and although it occasionally feels quote-unquote real, it's not. And it is obvious from time to time that you are speaking with an AI. It doesn't fully understand you, or its answers are just a little bit stilted and artificial compared to what an actual person would say. And there's no real connection there. It's not quite the same experience as hitting it off with a conversation partner in your target language and learning about their culture. You can learn about the daily life of your conversation partner if they're from that faraway country. You can learn about the culture there. You can learn about how people live their lives. And it's very interesting. And you can form an actual human connection. You can become friends with that person. With an AI, it's just, it's not the same. The conversations tend to be rather dry and academic, which is okay if the goal is to learn, but it's never, I shouldn't say never, let me qualify that. It doesn't currently take the place of an actual human conversation because you can tell that it's not quite real. Now, having said that, the technology continues to develop and grow, and over time it may get to the point where it is easy, in fact, it is easy to fool yourself into thinking that this is real. It will be able to respond in a more realistic way. Who knows how good it will get over time. So overall, I'm quite optimistic about the positive impact that AI is going to have on language learning, specifically in making it easier to aggregate information from language learning sources by being able to just ask a question in plain language and getting an answer that is a summary of what the AI managed to find from all these different language learning resources online. But also in giving you the opportunity to regularly practice actual conversations in your target language and get little corrections here and there. This is invaluable in learning and getting better in your target language. But let's talk about the longer term. Will AI eventually render language learning itself obsolete? What do I mean by that? Well, think about it. If we have AIs that continue to get better and better and better at translating between languages, at some point, the need to learn a foreign language might go away, at least in some contexts. Let's say you need to learn a foreign language for work because your company wants to expand into some foreign country, and we don't have very many employees who speak that language. If you're one of the few employees who do speak that language, your value within the company has just gone up. I can translate in these business meetings we're having. Great, we'll give you a raise. But if we have AIs who can do a better job of translating in a more efficient manner into more languages than any human can, do we still need that human translator? Think about from the point of view of a publishing company. Someone has written a book and we want to translate that book so we can publish it in multiple different countries. Right now that's done through a painstaking and manual human process with human translation services, which are error-prone and expensive and time-consuming. But imagine if you had a button in your word processor, you push your button and your book is instantly and flawlessly translated to 30 or 40 languages. This makes the lives of the publishers much easier, but what effect will that have on the translation and interpretation industries? And outside of the business world, think about tourism and travel. If you want to go to a foreign country but you don't speak the language, currently you might take the time to learn a few phrases so that you can interact with the locals while you're over there. But imagine if you had a device on your person that could instantly and flawlessly translate every interaction you have. This has already been prototyped. You can wear a pair of earbuds that listen to what's going on around you, and if someone speaks to you in a foreign language, they can in real time, or in close to real time, translate it into your native language so you hear the equivalent of what they said in your native language. Or how about glasses that you wear that can overlay stuff onto your field of vision? If you're looking at a sign, a road sign or whatever, in some foreign language, the glasses have a little camera on them. They can see it, they can translate it in real time and overlay in your vision, in your field of vision, the English translation of what you just saw. So to you, it looks like the sign is in English. Everywhere you go, you're seeing English and you're hearing English. And when you want to respond to people, you can speak to them through a device that can translate your native language into their language flawlessly. If everyone had such a device, would there still be a need to learn foreign languages to travel around? So taking that to its logical conclusion, can we foresee a time when language learning itself might be obsolete? Well, in my opinion, no. Let me give you a couple of counterexamples where AI is kind of irrelevant. Maybe you're learning as an academic exercise or an intellectual exercise. Learning a language is a very difficult thing, and I want to know if I can do it. I'm going to set that challenge before myself. AI is irrelevant there to that motivation. Or maybe you're learning a language to keep your brain sharp as you get older. Studies have shown that second language acquisition can help slow the effects of Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative illnesses as you get older. It keeps your brain sharp. It's good mental exercise. Again, AI is irrelevant to that purpose if that's why you're learning. Or another one, let's say you're learning a language for heritage reasons. My ancestors spoke some other language and I grew up not speaking that language. And I feel bad about that. And I still have relatives to this day living in that faraway country. I want to be able to visit them and speak with them in our ancestral language. AI, again, is irrelevant to that. I would still want to learn that language for that reason. So no, language learning is probably never going away entirely. There will always be people who are learning foreign languages. The demand for it may go down, certainly in the professional sphere, but it will never disappear entirely, in my opinion. Now, having said that, if you are working as a translator or an interpreter, or if you are thinking about getting into those lines of work, you should be absolutely terrified by AI because your job will quite probably be obsolete, and we're maybe not even that far out from the time when that might happen. AI might have a devastating impact on multiple industries and professions, and translation in particular seems to be a good candidate for a complete and utter replacement by AI, because AIs will eventually be able to do it not only more rapidly but also more accurately than almost any human translation service ever could, and for much less money. So, that's my 2 cents on the subject. What do you think? Do you have strong opinions on AI? Are you afraid of it? Are you looking forward to it? Do you welcome it? Is it a mixture of all of the above? Post your thoughts in the comments down below or shoot me an email, because I like to hear other people's perspectives on this subject. We're just on the brink of a potentially massive shift in the way we do things as a society as a whole, and AI is going to change a lot of things beyond language learning. That'll do it for today. We will see you next time on Lernen und Fragen.